Message to the president and the head of the Transportation Department in the United States, Donald Trump and Sean Duffy. So, the trucking industry has been so corrupted for so long, most people in my comments are saying trucking is dead. And I don't believe trucking is dead. I just think we need to bring it back. We need to make it great again. And here's a couple of things. $4 a mile minimum on freight moving to the United States, doesn't matter what it is, to the carrier. The carrier has got to get at least $4 a mile no matter what. Then we need to put a minimum wage on company driver wages, $1 a mile, at least $1 a mile. Over the road, they're pretty much do their own thing. They get $4 a mile, and however they see fit to pay themselves, I guess that's pretty much on them. But the next big thing that has to go into this bill is we have to cap the brokers. 3% has to be a cap on brokers, because not only are the brokers getting paid too much, some of these companies, and you know who you are, and I'm not going to name any names, but I've worked for a couple of them. Some of these companies start their own brokers, and they tell their drivers, they say, all right, you're going to get 22% off the top. Off the top. Unless you got to pay for like your pilot car or permits. You get 22% off the top, they say. Well, then they get these loads that are paying really good. I mean, I'm talking really good, where you should be pulling down your fair share. Your deal, your contract is 22% off the top. Well, instead of giving you a rate con, what they do is they broker the load through their brokership, or whatever you want to call it, and then they book it at their company for a lower rate. So it's going, they're booking the load at the broker for this much, and then they're taking 20% off on their own brokerage right off the top, and then they're giving you the next step down and giving you that. And then they're giving you your 22% off that after they take all their whatever and everything like that. So it's very dishonest. When you make a deal with a company that you're getting 22% off the top, well, the top is the top. Just because you can run it through a brokerage at your company and knock the price down even more to screw your drivers, you didn't make that deal with your drivers. So this is another reason why we need to put a cap on brokers. They should only be able to get 3% for brokering loads. They're not doing nothing but sitting in an office, typing on the computer. Takes about an hour to book a load. I mean, come on. This is all turned around. So that's what I'm proposing. We cap brokers 3%, $4 a mile minimum on freight, $1 a mile minimum for driver wage. I'm sure there's a couple other things I'm forgetting, but that's the main thing. That's what's going to bring trucking back. That right there is going to bring back the badass trucks that are running good, that we're proud to drive. Our mental health is going to skyrocket. Truckers are going to be proud to be truckers. We're not going to have to scrape by. We're not going to have to turn our trucks down to get every little bit of fuel mileage. Finally we're going to be able to shine. And it's going to make America great, even greater, because we moved this country. It would be nice to move it in style. It would be nice to move it knowing that, I may be spending all my time out here on the road every day, every night, missing out on life, but I'm able to provide a life for me and my family that is good. I'm not constantly worried about, am I going to lose it next week or not? This is America, and if we got to put legislation into place that keeps these corporations at bay and makes them pay a fair rate, then that's what we got to do. We got to quit having laws that screw the person over and are just, I don't know why this seems like such common sense to me, but if we love each other, if we take and actually think, listen, we're making buku profits, but let's put a little back, let's invest in our employees. How about that? How about the people that are needing stuff, all the shippers? How about you guys think, you know what? I want to pay $4 a mile because it's the right thing to do. Instead of having these guys living, you make a product and sell a product, you want what you got in it, you want to be able to make a profit, right? Well, so do we as truck drivers. We want to make a profit. We don't want to be taking loads that we got to take just to get somewhere else where there's another load at a loss. And I know some of you guys, you actually make $4 a mile. I'm not saying nobody's making that. I'm saying the average across the United States is $2.38 a mile. And most of the time, like Dry Van, they're less. They're like $1.50. I mean, it's right there between $1 and $2.50. And it needs to be $4 a mile across the board for equipment. These carriers, they got to pay their office people, their mechanics. The stuff on these trucks that break, that have nothing to do with the truck. These trucks are rigged with so much shit in them that doesn't do anything but makes whoever making that product rich. And they had to put them. They had to make legislature to make them law in order to sell them. Now, how the hell in America is that fair? I'm sick of this shit. We need to get rid of this DEF shit. We need to get rid of this ELD bullshit. And we need to put a cap on diesel prices for sure. Because sure enough, they put a $4 minimum rate on the shipper. All the diesel companies are going to think, well, now they're making so much money, let's hike up the diesel costs. We got to quit gouging ourselves, man. Corporations are soulless, and that's what drives me crazy. And sure enough, second we get this, say Trump gets it passed, damn diesel prices are going to go up $8 a gallon. Because they think, oh, well, they're making all this money now. Well, we ain't making all this damn money. That's what we should be making just to get by anyway. Nobody's getting by on what we're getting right now. So we need to have a few safeties put into place. We need to put a freeze on fuel prices. We need to put a minimum wage on freight being moved. And we need to put a minimum wage for company drivers. We need to take care of our people. This country is going to be way more better when people's work, not just trucking, but when people start making a wage, man, everybody's mental health is going to go through the roof. Nobody wants to work because you go to work and you spend all your time and you don't get compensated for it. The price of everything's going up, but the wages are going down. What is going on? I don't know. Maybe I'm not meant to be one of these rich guys because I care about people, and I can't understand how these huge corporations want to rake in. I mean, how much money do you need, really? I mean, when you're pulling in, I don't know what, hundreds of millions of dollars a year, and your drivers and your families that you work for you are suffering, you can't slide a little bit of that off. I mean, how much money does a guy need, really? I mean, I feel like I'm bloated. I ain't got hardly any money, but I got enough to pay my bills at least, scrape by, and I'm happy as shit every day. I'm a minimalist, though. I don't really like having stuff. I like riding my Harley. I like traveling. I like doing stuff like that. So I guess I'm in a good spot for me. But man, how much does a guy need when it comes to people suffering that are your people, man? When you got people that are the reason you're rich is because of your employees. You just start loving each other, man. That's the key to that's where all this went away, is when the company, the big industries, the corporations became corporations, became an entity. They have no soul. I don't know. If you agree, talk about it in the comments. Share these videos, guys. Maybe Trump will hear this. Maybe we'll get something going. If anything, we'll all be on the one page, a couple pages, where we could actually get together. We can get together and we all hang out at truck stops all the time. It'd be nice if we had enough. We could get 20, 30 guys having dinner and meetings at truck stops all across the country. I know there's a couple other guys I really like listening to, and I can't remember their names off the top of my head. Wolfgang KW2 is one of my favorite guys to listen to. Super informative guy if you haven't seen him. But anyway, I'm going to end with this. Believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, you shall be saved, man. Start loving each other, love your neighbors, and share this video. Follow my page. Love you guys. See ya.